Since ancient times, humanity has been driven by the desire to conquer the sky and fly like birds. But from even deeper antiquity, people have had another, far less romantic aspiration to bury themselves underground so that neither enemies nor natural disasters could reach their homes. If the sky represents lofty ideas and philosophy, then going underground was always about survival, regardless of the threat. Mother Nature protects just as well from nomadic raiders as from nuclear war. That is how entire underground cities appeared on Earth, and it is precisely them that we will talk about over the next few minutes, starting, of course, with a classic. In Turkey, 290 kilometers from Ankara, lies the city of Nevşehir. It is over 2,000 years old and has seen everything in its lifetime, from Alexander the Great to World War II. Which is hardly surprising. The Cappadocia region where the city is located has long served as a gateway between Asia and Europe. The Hittites fought the Assyrians here, the Assyrians fought the Persians, and later the Greeks and Romans took control of the region for centuries. Alongside military conquests, religious struggles unfolded as well. Cappadocia is the cradle of Christianity, which was persecuted both by the Romans and later by Arab conquerors. All in all, not the best place to grow old in a rocking chair with grandchildren running around. To level the odds, the inhabitants of the region went underground. In 2013, during the demolition of old houses near Nevşehir Castle, Turkish construction workers discovered an entire network of tunnels. By 2015, archaeologists and geophysicists reached a definitive conclusion: beneath Nevşehir lies the largest ancient underground city on Earth. Its area may reach 460,000 square meters, it could accommodate around 20,000 inhabitants, and its tunnels descend to a depth of 113 meters. Nevşehir is still being studied, so we will discuss the details of underground life using a better researched example. It is located just 29 kilometers away and is also a contender for the title of the largest underground city. We are, of course, talking about Derinkuyu. On the surface, it is a small village with unremarkable houses. Underground, however, lies at least 54 meters of depth and 8 levels of a vast metropolis with artificial lighting, water supply, and a complex ventilation system. The first level housed stables, grape presses, and living quarters. The second contained a large communal hall with high ceilings, a school, and a theological seminary. The third and fourth levels held armories, churches, and workshops. The deeper one goes, the narrower the passages and the smaller the rooms become. Yet at the very bottom, on the 8th level, there is a massive assembly hall. There is good reason to believe that the city has not yet been fully explored. Some theories suggest 10, 12, or even 20 underground levels that remain undiscovered. The defining feature of Derinkuyu and other Cappadocian underground cities is their extraordinarily complex labyrinth-like passage system. These corridors could be sealed with stone discs weighing up to half a ton, which could only be opened from the inside. The reasoning is obvious. The city was designed so that only locals could navigate it. An outsider would either smash their head against closed doors or get lost and starve to death. Capturing such a city was practically impossible. When all of this was built remains an open question. Officially, Derinkuyu was believed to have been founded in the 7th century BCE by fleeing Phrygian tribes. Later, it was expanded by Greek Christians who sought refuge from Arab raids during the Byzantine era. By around the 10th century, the underground settlement was abandoned, and until the 20th century it served local farmers as nothing more than a giant cellar. There is no consensus on how the city was used. Some researchers argue that residents descended underground only during times of danger, while others suggest that they surfaced only to harvest crops in the hot, arid climate. Indirect evidence for permanent habitation is the 10-kilometer tunnel connecting Derinkuyu with another underground city, Kemakli, a hint that such monumental structures would not have been built just in case, given ancient technological limitations. It is important to understand that Derinkuyu is not unique. More than 200 underground cities have been discovered in Cappadocia, each descending at least 2 levels underground. About 50 go down 3 levels, and some theories propose that many were interconnected into massive underground megacities with their own traffic systems and laws. There is no need to invoke supernatural explanations. First, the region has very few trees, while the local volcanic tuff is extremely easy to carve even today. Many Turkish homes are hewn directly into rock. Second, using underground spaces as storage and refrigeration is hardly a Turkish invention. And third, life in a region constantly on the front line of conflicts has never been easy. Life was no easier during the Cold War. Once again, people turned to the wisdom of their ancestors and began constructing underground bunkers. And as one of the planet's unwritten rules goes, there will always be an Asian who does something better than you. In the case of underground cities, that role was taken by China. During the Sino-Soviet split in 1969, Chinese leadership logically assumed that a nuclear exchange and a potential Third World War would be devastating. Without hesitation, they decided to build another Beijing underground. Mao Zedong ordered that, in the event of nuclear war, the city must accommodate all 6 million residents. Socialist realism and unquestioning obedience to party orders proved effective. Over 10 years, 85 square kilometers of underground housing were constructed across 3 levels. That is roughly the size of Ile-de-France, but underground. The city was built to house 300,000 residents, including schoolchildren, on an entirely voluntary basis in exchange for a wife, a cat, and a bowl of rice, which, sadly, is not a joke. Because so many citizens independently dug their own bunkers, the government has never managed to create a complete map of the underground city. The official sections included theaters, factories, schools, grain storage facilities, mushroom farms, and even a roller skating stadium. Remarkably, the infrastructure was built to last. Electricity and ventilation systems installed over 50 years ago still function today. How do we know it all still works? From the millions of Chinese who continue to live underground. Or rather, who did. Since 2010, the government has declared all underground residents illegal. However, rental prices there are so low that demand remains high. Students and migrants often choose underground Beijing as their first place to live. We have covered 2 reasons why people go underground, but historically there is a third: Australia. Just thinking about humanoid spiders, snakes, and life in an upside-down world is unsettling. Add average daily temperatures of 36 degrees Celsius, extreme dryness, and sandstorms, and the decision of the residents of Kubur Pdi to live underground becomes entirely understandable. Especially since they had little desire to leave. Kubur Pdi holds around 30% of the world's opal reserves, including the most valuable noble opals. Miners carved apartments directly into tunnels connected to the mines. According to early workers, the constant 22 degrees Celsius temperature was just a pleasant bonus. The real luxury of underground living was the absence of attacks from wild dingo dogs. Over time, the opal mining business gave rise to a city that the Telegraph called the strangest on the planet. Mines coexist with cafes, carts of opal stand next to luxury boutiques, and iron-welded trees serve as decoration. There are no real trees in Kubur Pdi. Today, cacti have been added, but the atmosphere remains largely unchanged. The only serious problem is water. There are no underground water sources, and piping it in costs a fortune. Still, few residents are bothered. Air conditioning is unnecessary, wildlife stays at a safe distance, and Hollywood regularly arrives to film movies. Mad Max 3 and Pitch Black starring Vin Diesel were shot here. NASA has also used the city to train future Mars expedition crews. Settlements on other planets beneath transparent domes remain science fiction. In reality, humans on both the Moon and Mars will be forced to bury themselves underground to protect against relentless solar radiation. A curious historical loop emerges. Humanity once left caves, but upon leaving Earth, it will inevitably return to them. That is why Kubur Pdi and other underground cities are studied with genuine scientific interest. A similar case exists in the Moldovan city of Craiova, which locals have long demanded be included among the new 7 wonders of the world. And for good reason. It is the only underground city on Earth with traffic rules, traffic lights, and road markings. In Moldova, limestone was once mined here. When the deposits were exhausted in the 1960s, wine production was moved underground. The result was a city the size of Miami, complete with streets, avenues, and districts named after wines. For locals, it is perfectly normal to meet at the intersection of Cabernet and Riesling. Even a bicycle, however, is hardly sufficient. The underground streets stretch for 120 kilometers. For now, we have covered the main types of underground cities and the reasons that have driven humanity beneath the surface for thousands of years. Until next time, friends.